We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, April 15th here in Seoul. I'm Isoo-jin, and this is News Generation. And joining us today for the first time to represent Gen Z is Melissa. Good to have you, and also Fabius with us today.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we're heading towards the end of the work week, and with spring in full swing, there's a certain buzz in the air. Warmer weather, longer days, and for many people here in Korea, that can only mean one thing during the weekends, heading out to the baseball stadium. But before we dive into that, let's meet our newest panelist today. So this is her first time joining us on the show, and she's here to represent Gen Z and share her perspective. So Melissa, great to have you with us today. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Melissa, and I'm here to represent the Gen Zs out there. I work at IMG, where I handle marketing and PR for global sports teams like PSG, Tottenham Hotspur, and the LA Rams, focusing on the Korean market. It's great to be here, and what a coincidence that my first topic is sports.
Definitely.
It's what I do for a living.
Meant to be for you to go on today. So as I briefly mentioned, we are diving into Korea's booming baseball culture, but with a slight twist. So to keep things fun, we're turning this into a short would you rather game. So Fabi, would you rather support your favorite player, but they're performing horribly, he's underperforming, or cheer for a team that's winning, but the players are caught up in a bit of a lot of controversies?
Well, I love the idea of supporting the underdog, but I think that's not for me. For some reason, I end up always supporting the winners and the people who are constantly giving good results. And I think that comes from the fact that I get inspiration from them. You know, I like people who are at the top of their game and have that elite type of essence to them because it inspires me to be better too. And that not only translates to sports, but also to music in my case. So it would really depend on how severe the attitude was. If it was something not too serious, I wouldn't care. But if it did cross my moral values, then probably I wouldn't support. But I would go with the second option.
With the winning team, okay.
Exactly.
I see. What about you, Melissa?
I will support a team where my favorite player is, even if the team isn't performing very well. Baseball is a sport where results can change very quickly. A team that loses today can win tomorrow, who knows? Because of that unpredictability, I think I'd enjoy consistently supporting one team while watching my favorite player grow and perform. It's kind of similar to K-pop fandom culture, I feel like. You often become a fan of a whole group because you start liking one specific member.
That's pretty true.
Right, it's true. That's a great comparison. And that highlights how fandom today is less about results and more about connection. It also explains why people stay loyal even through the ups and downs. And we're going to talk more about this, but first, let's take a look at the screen. Baseball in Korea has seen a major surge in recent years, especially among younger fans. And it's not just die-hard supporters filling the stands anymore, as Korea's stadium culture is making the game more accessible, social, and fun for everyone. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at why young people are flocking to baseball stadiums, what makes the Korean baseball experience so unique, and the memes and moments that are taking over online. Just as we saw in a video, baseball in Korea is no longer just about the game. It's become a full-on social and cultural experience. So with that shift in mind, let's take a closer look at how the scene has evolved. So how has baseball culture in Korea changed over the years?
When we think about sports in South Korea, baseball definitely comes to mind, and that would be the case in other countries like the United States. But I would say that internationally and globally is not one of the most obvious choices. For example, in most European countries, baseball is not necessarily that big. But for some reason, here in Korea, it's definitely huge and popular. So where does this come from? Apparently, baseball was introduced in the very start of the 20th century, and for a long time, it was mainly seen as a sport for middle-aged men, but something shifted. And a lot of people that are going to these baseball games and making it their own playground are people in their 20s and 30s. And we are seeing this all across social media, where it's becoming very, very present. And in fact, one survey pointed out that 80% of the respondents said they would attend one of these baseball games in the 2026 season. So we're seeing that these young fans are not only devoted to the sport in a conceptual way, but in actually going to the matches and like supporting their favorite teams. So
I can also really attest to this too, because I live right next to Jamsil Baseball Stadium.
Yes.
And during baseball season, there's so many young people all wearing, the jerseys like we're wearing today. Really excited. The energy is always really great.
And it gets intense, right?
It does. So from a niche pastime to a social hotspot, that's a huge shift that we're seeing. It's not just overall interest. The crowd is also changing too. So who is really driving the surge in baseball fandom, Melissa?
I guess one of the biggest changes is in the rise in the younger female fans. In the 2024 season, women made up over 48% of the audience, and about 30% of them were in their 20s. As more young women get into baseball, the culture around it has also evolved. I think baseball has successfully moved from being a dad's hobby to an Instagrammable aesthetic. Merchandise is no longer just uniforms and cheering tools. We're seeing more collaborations with characters and lifestyle brands, making it more appealing and diverse. It's also becoming part of everyday life. Through things like Starbucks collaborations, KakaoTalk emojis, baseball teams are showing up in ways that feel more familiar and easily approachable.
Right, so that is a major demographic shift, and it's also reshaping the whole scene. So let's make it personally for a second. So you've said women are really getting into baseball games. So have you been to go to baseball games?
I don't have a specific team I'm cheering on for, but I've been to a few games with friends just for fun. I was actually planning to go next week, but unfortunately I couldn't get the tickets.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get tickets.
Right?
Days,
I think this really shows how popular baseball is in Korea these days.
Right, so even casual visits seem to leave a strong impression, actually are able to pull younger fans in. So why are younger Koreans, so many of them, flocking to baseball stadiums?
I feel like there's a few different reasons. When we think about the whole aesthetic of it all, people want to be part of it. So what does that englobe? So I would be talking about lots of things like sharing content, taking pictures, and just having fun cheering for their favorite team. But one of my favorite highlights would be food. And that would be the case for most people. So we're not only talking about popcorn or hot dogs that are quite popular everywhere in the world, but also different types of exotic menus that we can only find in Korea. Like for example, K-chicken with beer, or kopchang, which would be grilled intestines, samgyeopsal, which would be pork belly. I'm getting hungry. And then we will also have things like dakbal, which is chicken feet. So as you can see,
the footage as well is making me very hungry
completely.
right now.
As you can see, it's definitely not basic, and a lot of people go to enjoy this lovely menu to have a great time with their friends. Also, the way that people cheer and they have these songs and chants, everything becomes quite immersive. I asked one of my friends, and she sent me a whole playlist of songs that people like to sing when they are seeing a game, and it was quite, amusing. So I would definitely say those are some of the highlights. And then even viral trends like the 삐끼삐끼 dance that the cheerleaders do. Can you do it with me?
Very cute.
All of those things create this whole realm of things that you can choose from and enjoy while enjoying a baseball game.
And there's so many things that are going on, which is why the energy, as you can see from the footage, it's really something. So it sounds less like a game, more like a full-on experience, and that experience goes beyond food and cheering. So what makes the stadium experience so engaging? What are some other ways that's so exciting for people?
As an MZ myself, I'd say it's really about the unique experience you can only get at baseball games in Korea. When I went, of course, the food and cheering culture were so much fun, but what stood out the most were in-game events. There were things like kiss cams, audience participation games like limbo, pitching form challenges, and letter games, everything with prizes as well. Even if you're not directly participating, just watching these games make the long 3-hour game feel very exciting and not boring at all. There are also photo booths where you can express your fandom by wearing your team's uniform, taking pictures with your friends, and sharing them on social media. Recently, I also heard that some stadiums have even introduced infinity pools where you can watch the game while swimming.
Oh, I would do that.
Last but not least, we can't ignore affordability. Some seats are available for around $10, which makes it very accessible, and I think it's totally worth it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's also what's different from the States, for example, where tickets are quite expensive.
Very expensive.
Right. So it's clear the stadium has become more than just a sports venue. It's now entertainment, social media, and culture all in one place. And we also wanted to hear directly from our viewers, so we ran a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel asking, what do you think is the most enjoyable part of watching a baseball game here in Korea? And here's what the results showed. So the most enjoyable part of watching a baseball game here was voted to be the wide variety of food, chosen by 50% of respondents. This was followed by the lively cheering culture at 37%, showing just how central fan participation is to the experience. The smaller shares point to celebrity first pitches at 7% and in-game events like kids camps at 6%, highlighting the many different ways fans can enjoy the game beyond just the action on the field. So the results really say a lot. Baseball in Korea isn't just about what's happening on the field, it's about the entire experience around it. And the fact that food ranks #1 shows just how much the game has evolved into more of a social, almost festival-like outing. And to gain an in-depth perspective, we're going to speak with a baseball fan from a country also quite known for its baseball culture. And that conversation is coming up right after break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
And joining us today is Jeff, a baseball fan from the US. So Jeff, hello. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. So what was your first Korean baseball experience like? And do you have a team here in Korea that you support? Or I guess in the States too?
So I'm from the States, so I am a fan of the Cincinnati Reds. We're kind of a smaller market team. So the first game that I went to, it was the KT Wiz and Samsung Lions. So one of my coworkers is a big fan of the KT Wiz. And so we went to their home game, and I was kind of blown away by the atmosphere. As far as teams go, I guess, kind of looking through the league and figuring out, I feel like if I'm going to follow the league, then I need to have like a favorite team. So I chose the NC Dinos only because I like their mascots. I like dinosaurs. So that was the team that I chose.
Nice. Then how do baseball games in Korea compare to those in the US? And what makes the Korean experience so unique?
So to me, what makes the experience so unique in Korea is the fans. They're constantly cheering, they're doing chants. Back in the US, it's much different. Fans will cheer, but it's only if like a team gets a hit, if there's like a home run or like a really good play. So outside of that, the fans are very much more subdued or quiet. So like the Korean baseball game, they're cheering. Felt like it was nonstop. They were doing all sorts of chants. So to me, it's a very, very vibrant atmosphere. And so that's like what the main difference for me was.
That's a nice point. And what tips would you give these first-timers that they really want to enjoy this baseball matches here in Korea?
So for me, I didn't know anything about the league. I didn't know anything about the teams. I just went, I wanted to go to a game, but I went to that particular game because my coworker was a fan of the team. So I don't think that you necessarily have to know anything about the league, anything about the players. As a first timer, I would just go and just take everything in. To me, Korean baseball, it felt like more than a game. It was like an experience. So honestly, I would just go and just enjoy your time there.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your take on this, and hope you get to go to an NC Dinos game very soon.
I'll be going to plenty of games this year, so hopefully I'll get to an NC Dinos game.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. All righty, bye.
So we just heard from a baseball fan from the US about what his first Korean baseball game was like, how baseball games in Korea compare to those in the US, and what tips he would give to first-timers to how to really enjoy a baseball game here in Korea. And also, beyond the game itself, there's a whole world of fan moments that go viral. So what are some popular memes or moments that happen from Korean baseball?
Well, some of my favorite are usually the first pitches that most
that's
celebrities or idols would do here in the country. Some of the most popular global stars like Mariah Carey have very funny moments when it comes to the first pitch. I would also watch some of my favorite idols like Girls' Generation do the first pitch because it's always very entertaining. And the best part about it is that they're usually pretty bad, so it makes it the more amusing. At the same time, there's a lot of memes. Many of them are about people trying to do the songs or creating their own chants to support their group. We're also seeing a lot of kids trying to replicate the reactions that the adults have when these very intense moments happen, and that is so endearing. So a lot of people end up watching these videos and they become very, very viral, just as the trend that we talked about a little bit earlier, the 삐끼삐끼 trend. And there's one popular meme when it comes to baseball fans here in Korea, which is el rotlásico.
Wow. The R.
And this actually comes from a Spanish term, which is el clásico. That directly translates to the classic. And it was frequently used for soccer, for these very huge rival teams when they had a match, like for example, Barcelona or Real Madrid. But nowadays, baseball fans here in Korea are using it to describe matches between big groups, like for example, LG Twins and the Lotte Giants. This comes from the fact that they, for some reason, end up being paired together most of the time, and everything becomes very
Really
intense.
intense, yeah.
So it just becomes a whole thing, and that's why people use this term very frequently.
I guess this shows how dedicated fans are these days, and now they've become part of the entertainment now. And each team seems to have its own unique fan identity too. So what are some unique fan cultures tied to, I guess, specific teams, Melissa?
You can't talk about K-baseball without mentioning Hanwha Eagles fans.
We were repping today.
Yes. In Korea, we call them saints, 보살, because their patience is literally legendary. They've supported the team through many years of poor performance. Even when the team loses, they sing a cheering song with lyrics that say, 나는 행복합니다, which means I'm happy.
Oh, despite through the losses.
Yes. And this shows how loyal they are.
Oh, okay.
And there's even a joke that if you marry a Hanwha fan, you'll live a happy life because they're so loyal to you.
Despite the ups, the downs, I guess.
I know. And then you have the Busan's 아주라 culture, which literally means give it to the kid in the local Busan dialect. It's a unique tradition where the whole stadium chants at you to hand over the home run ball you caught to a younger fan. It's supposed to be a heartwarming gesture, but it's becoming less common lately because some fans have started to feel like it's a bit too forced.
Right, so all these traditions really add personality to the entire experience. So for viewers planning to go, what are some tips to make the best of the Korean baseball game experience, Fabio?
Well, sometimes you just want to go for the experience,
right?
But I would still recommend to choose one team and get a jersey to
Like
support
we're
that
doing
team.
today,
Okay, that would be my first recommendation. Second of all, you need some phone battery because it's going to be probably a
Ooh, that's
long
a good
game.
tip, yeah.
So having like a portable battery or have everything prepared would be the best option. Then again, having some snacks and preparing your food beforehand could also be good because even though you can get some food during the match, it might be a little bit too overwhelming and there's way too many people. So getting it beforehand could be the best option. And then again, I guess my biggest recommendation would be prepare yourself to cheer. So have this foam fingers prepared. And also in Korea, they use these long sticks that are kind of balloons. And then when you push them together, they create a sound. And it's one of the most common ways to support your
Right.
favorite team.
So everyone has them, so it's good to the way to get into the game.
Exactly,
basically.
completely.
So what are some of your tips?
My number one tip, don't overthink the rules, just vibe with it. I work in sports, but trust me, I still don't know all the rules. The key is, if everyone around you starts screaming, then just scream even louder.
Oh, I like that tip.
So I recommend just enjoying the whole experience. Enjoy the food, join the cheers, watch the in-game events, and take photos with your friends. If you approach it as a social and culture experience rather than a sport, I'm sure everyone can have a much better time. Also, if you're a first-timer, I recommend booking a seat near the cheering stage. You'll get a free cardio workout just by following the cheerleaders' moves. And by the later innings, you'll be chanting like a pro. Oh, and make sure to go with an empty stomach.
Completely.
Right, you enjoy all the good food there. So it's clear that baseball in Korea has evolved into something much bigger than just a sport. From food and fan culture to viral moments, it's become a full-on social experience. And if this trend continues, the stadium might just be one of the best places to be, not just for sports, but also for the culture. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Melissa.
Thank you for having me.
for coming in today, and also Fabio.
Hopefully next time we get to go together to a baseball game.
That would be
sounds
so
great.
fun. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. And hopefully your next baseball game feels less like 9 innings and more like one big party. We are
News Generation.